the fakeness. If you wanna play tough, I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and
the docket today for jury trial in progress. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ryan Elsey for the people.
Dominic DeGrazia on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Brian Brown on behalf of Mr. Jackson-Bolanos.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Kristen Rickey, co-counsel on behalf of Mr. Jackson-Bolanos, who's present to my right.
I know for the record, Mr. Jackson-Bolanos is present. Our all counsel are present, and our 15 jurors have returned this morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. And we are ready to continue with people's expertise.
Thank you, Your Honor. This time the people call Caitlin Hahn, Detroit Police Department.
Step up on this one.
Please, Mr. Orthodox testimony you gave today is the truth, nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you.
Slide that microphone out. Pull it back from your mouth. And state your name and spell it for the record.
Caitlin Hahn, K-A-T-E-L-Y-N, last name H-O-M,
H-O-M.
N as in Mary.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, could you please tell the jury what you do for a living?
Sure, I'm a forensic technician with the Detroit Police Department.
And how long have you been a forensic technician?
A little over 3.5 years.
And just what are your sort of basic duties as a forensic technician?
Sure, so as a forensic technician, I'm responsible for responding to crime scenes and investigations and documenting the location.
As part of your duties, do you sometimes help assist with processing scenes that have been searched pursuant to a search warrant?
Yes.
And as part of your duties, did you assist with processing the scene associated with the search warrant back on November 8th of 2023?
Yes.
And where was that scene located on that day?
603 West Grand Boulevard.
And just in general, what is at that location?
It's a 2-story residential dwelling.
And based on your processing of the scene, did you find any proof of residence of who is associated with that particular dwelling?
Yeah, so inside the residence, we found mail for Jeffrey Erbsman.
And can you just describe your basic sort of role involved with processing that scene on that day?
Yeah, so we were requested there. The nature was a search warrant. That day, I was working with a partner, forensic technician William Creer. So we worked together to process that scene. So for this instance, I was responsible for taking notes and producing a final report, and he was responsible for photographing the scene.
Okay. And in terms of your role on the scene, was there any physical evidence that was collected by you and your partner?
Yes, so while on the scene, we were directed by the homicide investigators to certain items of interest that they wanted us to collect.
And what were those items of interest that were ultimately collected?
There was a folding knife, a key, a black jacket, and a jar and bag of mushrooms.
Okay. And beyond those 4 items, was there anything else that you were directed to collect?
Not to collect.
Was there anything else of, I guess, possible evidentiary value that you observed inside the home when you helped search the scene?
So other sources of interest that they had us photograph were like a security system there and other documents and paperwork.
Okay. And you mentioned there were some photos taken at the scene, correct?
Yes.
And before your testimony, did I send you sort of a selection of those photos to review?
Yes.
And in terms of that selection, does that selection of photos fairly and accurately depict what you actually observed when you were at the scene on November 8th of 2023?
It does.
And I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 30. Is it your understanding that the photos are on this disc?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit proposed exhibit 30.
Any objection?
No objection.
People's 30 will be admitted. You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I'm going to ask you to turn around and take a look at the screen behind you, which will pop up in a moment. Just looking at the first page of Exhibit 30 again, what are we looking at here?
So this is the photo card. So this is the first photo that's taken at any location of the oral crime scene. So it just has the general information, such as the date, the location, who requested us there, report number, and our names.
Okay, and how about page 2? What does that show?
So this is the front of the residence at 603 West Grand Boulevard.
And how about page 4? What does that show?
So this is near the front door. It's a mount for a security camera.
And page 5, is there anything, I guess, relevant in page 5?
So you can see 603, which is obviously the address, and then towards the bottom right of the page, you see a chair, and there's a security camera on the chair.
And so the camera was sitting on the chair at the time that you photographed it?
Correct.
Okay. How about page 10? What does that show us?
Okay, so now if we step inside of the front door that was just pictured, this is kind of like the foyer, like entryway area. So now we're looking at a small table that was inside the entryway in the foyer.
And what does page 11 show us?
This is a black folding knife that was on that table.
And again, where was that table located?
Inside the foyer, right inside the front door.
And you mentioned you collected some items of evidence at the scene. Was that knife one of the items that was collected?
Yes, this is one of the items.
And I'm holding what has been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 31. When you collected the knife, what did you do with it?
So whenever we collect a piece of evidence, we place it into an evidence bag. So as you're holding is what we placed it on, and then we placed it onto evidence.
Okay. And Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
This particular evidence bag that I'm holding marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 31, what's the evidence tag number associated with that bag?
The evidence tag number is 113.
And is there any significance of that number when it comes to this particular knife?
Yes, so this piece of evidence was placed under item 113 under this report number.
Okay. And this item, does that item look familiar to you?
Yes, this is the black folding knife that we observed on the scene.
Okay, and does that appear to be in substantially the same condition it was in when you collected it?
Yes,
Okay. And again, what was the item number associated with that?
113.
For the defense counsel on the jury.
And Your Honor, with that, I would move to admit proposed exhibit 31.
No objection.
People's 31 is admitted.
And just briefly, I want to show you a report that's already been admitted as Exhibit 34. And did we take a look at this report before your testimony today?
Yes.
And under the evidence received section on the top of page 2 of the report,
Which exhibit is this?
34, Your Honor, can you indicate what item is indicated as being in container number 35?
Yeah, so in container 35, it says a sealed envelope, item 113.
Okay, and would that number 113 correspond to the item number of the knife that you recovered at
It-
603 West Grand?
It does.
Okay, and then just scrolling to the bottom where it indicates number 35, folding knife with black handle on page 3. Do you see that?
Yes.
And can you just read, I guess, the bottom portion where my cursor is right now?
Did not indicate the presence of blood.
Okay. going back to the photos, if we look at photo 29, what room of the home are we looking at now?
This is the dining room, so we're looking at the dining room table.
Okay, and looking at 32, page 32, and again, this is just for the record, exhibit 30 again that we're looking at. Where was this photo that's depicted here located?
This was a photograph that was located on top of the dining room table.
Okay, and how about 33?
This is another photograph that was on top of the dining room table.
And looking at page 45, what room are we in here? That is kind of an obvious question, but
The kitchen.
okay. And page 57, what room is this?
This is a bathroom on the second floor.
And page 61,
This is a bedroom on the second floor. It appeared to be used as storage.
and what was sort of the general condition of this home when you processed the scene? Was it tidy? Was it unkempt?
I mean, other than general clutter, our residence is rather welcome.
Okay. Looking at page 70, what room are we looking at now?
This is a bedroom on the second floor.
Okay, and looking at the nightstand, was there anything notable on the nightstand?
I believe there were medications.
And were there other medications found inside the home other than those?
Yes.
And would you say, were there a lot of medications, few medications?
I believe there were multiple prescription bottles.
Okay. Looking at page 79 and 80, what are we looking at here?
So this is inside the bedroom. It's just the security camera system.
And 81, does that show the other side of the system?
Yes.
84, what part of the house are we looking at now?
This is an office on the second floor.
And how about 91?
This is on the first floor. It's kind of like a living room or general room.
And 92, is that the same table that was depicted in 91?
Yes, this is in the living room. Some photographs that were on the coffee table.
Okay, and how about 101? What does that show?
This is located off of the kitchen. You can see the rear door to the dwelling, kind of like a bench and coat rack.
And you mentioned a jacket was one of the items that was collected from the scene. Is that correct?
Yes, so a black North Face jacket was collected from this area.
And is that one of the jackets that was shown here on this photo, page 101?
Yes.
Okay. Looking at page 103, what does that depict?
This is another security camera that we observed. It was on the bench.
Okay. And what door is this bench by?
Next to the rear door.
Okay. And just quickly, if we go to 130 and 131, what are we looking at here?
I believe this is the rear door, and we're looking at like part of a security camera mount.
Okay. And did that appear to line up with the camera that was situated on the sort of bench by the door?
I believe so.
Okay. Looking at page 111 112 and 113. What are we looking at here?
This is a typed note that was found in the kitchen that appeared to be a eulogy.
And did you have an opportunity to read that or review it when you were on scene?
I believe I briefly read through it.
Okay, and did anything, I guess, stand out as abnormal or out of the ordinary to you?
It read as a typical stream of thoughts for a eulogy.
Okay.
And I guess I would object to that if she stated that she didn't read the letter in its entirety and she's making an opinion on the entirety of the eulogy, whether it be abnormal or not. I don't think she's in a position to state that she didn't read it in its entirety. She stated she briefly
Well,
read it.
Can you clarify your answer?
Sure. So I didn't in detail study the letter, but I did read the entire letter. I didn't examine it in any way, but I read it.
Okay.
Okay, and based on your reading of it, did anything jump out at you?
No.
Was there anything else you observed on the scene of potential evidentiary value?
Not that we didn't state already.
You mentioned there were some mushrooms recovered.
Yes.
And where were the mushrooms recovered from?
The kitchen.
And how were those mushrooms situated?
One was in a sealed mason jar. Sorry, not one, but some of the mushrooms were in a sealed mason jar, and there were additional mushrooms in a plastic bag.
Okay, I'm just trying to find one photo here. Do you remember what part of the kitchen they were in?
Yes, they were along the north side of the kitchen in some cabinets. So, yes.
So if we're looking at page 43, on the left side of the stove, is that the mushrooms depicted there?
Yes.
Okay. And where were those originally located before they were placed on the counter?
I believe they were originally located in the kitchen cabinet directly above the counter that they're seated on.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, the pictures that you were just viewing, you would agree that these are not the entirety of the pictures that were taken from this particular search warrant at 603 West Grand?
Correct.
Okay. And would you agree that there are maybe roughly twice as many pictures that were taken?
I don't recall the exact number. I just know that this is a sampling.
Okay. And if you saw, I guess, the other pictures, you would be able to identify the pictures as being from the full set versus certain pictures that were, I guess, taken out and put into this particular exhibit.
I might be able to recognize some.
If I could have that, and we would like to show defense proposed exhibit 2. Any objection to it?
It's just
The full set. Okay. And Your Honor, I believe we
You
have.
okay with it being shown on the screen?
yeah, I'll agree to the exhibit being admitted. My understanding is it's just a full set of photos from the search warrant.
Okay, so defense, well, do you have a disc with that on it, or?
I can put that on a disc. I have it on my hard drive now, but it's no problem. I can put it onto a disc.
Okay, you're gonna have to burn those to a disc so that it's marked as Exhibit 2.
Absolutely.
That's Exhibit 2, and that way
Okay, absolutely.
it's preserved for any future review.
Okay. Now, this appeared to be the picture from 603 West Grand?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you indicated that there was a knife, item 113, that was recovered from this area?
Yes.
Okay. And you also indicated that there were a great deal of medications that were recovered from this particular location, correct?
I didn't recover any medications from this location, but I did observe several prescription medications.
Okay, we can scroll to 168. Would you agree that this is some of the meds that were photographed?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm moving to 169. Would this be another picture of some of the medication that was photographed?
Yes.
Okay. And 173, is this a layout of the medication that was recovered?
It's a
Not
layout.
recovered, I'm sorry, that photographed.
Observed, yes.
Okay. Now, this white bag that my cursor's over, was that ever recovered and processed to, I guess, ascertain what type of substance it was?
No, it wasn't.
But you would agree that this is not in any type of prescription bottle, correct?
No, it appears to be a Ziploc bag.
Okay. And would this just be a close-up of one of the medications?
Yes.
Okay. And would this be at the inside of one of the medications?
Yes.
Okay. And would this just be another close-up of one of the medications?
Yes.
Okay. And this would be the inside of one of the medications, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you would agree that this is just another close-up of another medications, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this would be the inside of another one of the medications, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you would agree that this is another separate prescription medication bottle? Photograph?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And you agree that this is just, I guess, some of the writings on that prescription, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Would this be yet another medication?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I will go to slide 222. You indicated that you did recover some mushrooms?
Yes.
Okay. And this would be a picture of the mushrooms?
Yes. Towards the bottom of the photograph.
Okay. Would this be a close-up of the Ziploc bag with the mushrooms?
Yes.
Okay. And would this be a close-up of a mason jar with those same mushrooms?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And these didn't appear to be like cooking mushrooms, correct? From your observation.
To me, they just, I'm not really an expert in mushrooms. They just appear to be like dried mushrooms to me.
Okay. So you don't know whether or not these are psychedelic mushrooms that are used for...
Personally, I don't. We were just requested to collect these.
Okay. And in fact, you did recover those, correct?
I did, yes.
Okay. Did you also recover some keys, or at least a key, from the location?
Yes.
And that key was labeled Alicia's gate key?
Yes.
Okay. If we can go to slide 64. Would that be depicted on the right, bottom right corner of the countertop?
Yes, in the bottom right, the countertop, you can see there's a key attached to a ring, and then it has a piece of paper on it.
Okay. Would that be the same key?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, you did recover that key, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were there also some blue surgical gloves, a box of blue surgical gloves that were photographed from this location?
I believe so.
Okay, let's go to slide 256. Oops, I'm sorry. And would that be these particular gloves?
Yes, located in the kitchen.
Okay. Do you know if this box was ever recovered for evidence?
I did not recover this box.
Okay. And you were instructed of what to recover at the scene, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so it wasn't your discretion of what was recovered or what was not recovered, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you take some pictures of the exterior of the house?
I believe my partner photographed the exterior of the house.
Okay. If we're looking at slide number 253, would this be a picture from the outside?
Yes, the garage.
And would this also be another picture from the outside?
Yes.
Okay. Were you ever instructed to take any photographs of a fire pit?
No.
Okay. Did you notice a fire pit?
I don't recall a fire pit.
Okay. Did you go into the rear of the yard?
I believe at some point I was in the side / the rear of the yard just to
Okay.
get the general layout.
Okay. So the officer, who was the officer in charge at this particular search?
The person directing us to different items was Sergeant Beasley.
Sergeant Beasley? Okay. And did Sergeant Beasley ever direct you or your partner to photograph a fire pit?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Now, you indicated that you read this letter that was on the table or counter?
Yes, it was on the kitchen countertop.
Okay. Now, did you thoroughly read it or did you scan through it? Just to be clear.
I read through the letter.
Okay.
I just don't recall by memory the letter.
Okay. Did you recover the letter?
No.
Okay. And you also recovered a black North Face jacket?
Yes.
Okay. And it's slide 228. Would this be the jacket that you recovered?
Yes.
Okay. And this would just be another close-up of it, slide 229? Okay. And after you recover this jacket, do you know what, if anything, happens? Was it dusted for fingerprints? Was it analyzed for DNA? Do you know what, if anything, happened?
I'm not part of the process of deciding what happens to it afterwards, and I don't have any knowledge of that.
Okay. Now, you were shown multiple photographs, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. And from your observation, did it had a female in there, correct?
Correct.
Would you agree that all the photographs you were shown had these two individuals in there, at least this male and this female in there?
It's the photographs observed on the dining room table and the coffee table in the living room.
Okay. They all had this gentleman and that female in there, correct?
Most of them did, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you turn the photographs around to see if there was anything written on the back of these photographs?
Personally, I don't think I did.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, excuse me.
So I just want to clarify, defense 2 was the full set of all pictures taken by this evidence tech?
Yes.
And yours was just a partial, so everything that was on yours is in there, but there's more in his.
Correct, Your
And yours was exhibit number
Honor. 30.
30, okay. Just wanted to make sure that that's clear for the jury.
If we can go to, now we're looking at Exhibit 34. If we can go to page 3 of Exhibit 34. And you indicated that item 113 is depicted as 35 on this particular exhibit, correct? The folding knife with black handle, correct?
Yes, so
Okay.
the document that he previously showed
Okay.
said that bin 35.
Okay, if you could read right under hair screening, what does it state?
Apparent hairs, fibers collected but not examined. Additional apparent hairs, fibers observed but not collected or examined.
Okay. And as part of your job, is it your job to maybe detect certain hairs or fibers and, I guess, analyze those or collect those separately from the knife?
No.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Redirect.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Questions from the jury? I don't see any. Thank you. You may step down. Next witness?
Should be called Trooper Alexander Martinez. Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Please hold the mic directly in front of you and state your name and spell it for the record.
Yes, it's Alexander Martinez, Alexander Martinez.
Thank you. Hold the mic a little bit closer.
Yep.
Face toward the podium there, and you may proceed with your questions, Mr. Gardner.
Good morning, sir. Could you please state your name and occupation?
Yes, good morning. It's Alexander Martinez. I'm a detective trooper for the Michigan State Police.
And how long have you been working for the Michigan State Police?
8 years.
And where are you currently assigned within the Michigan State Police Department?
I'm assigned to the Homicide Task Force.
All right, and as part of that assignment that you're currently assigned to, were you involved in the investigation into the death of Samantha Woll back in October of 2023?
Yes.
And at that time, did you have an occasion to go to 1366 Joliet Place on October 21st of 2023?
Yes, I did.
And how did you come to go to that location?
I had made the location to look over the scene, walk through the house, look at the evidence that was there, the blood. We were working with the lab at that time.
So there had already been other police personnel there by the time you got there?
On the 21st, yes, there had been police there prior to me.
And so did you go into the area, the interior of 1366 Joliet?
Yes.
And when you went inside, did you go just on one floor, or did you go throughout the entire townhouse?
I went through the entire townhouse.
And what was your purpose in walking through the entire townhouse?
Just to familiarize myself with the scene, take a look at the investigation where it began.
All right, and besides yourself, were there other members of the task force who were also with you going throughout the interior of the townhouse?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned familiarizing yourself with the scene. Does that include looking for potential items of evidence that might be relevant.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is areas where suspected blood is present, is that relevant to you when you're investigating a crime scene?
Yes, it is.
All right. So when you went through the interior of that house, were you looking at all for areas of suspected blood?
Yes.
All right. So just talking specifically about the basement, did you go down to the basement area of 1366?
I did.
And did you notice anything, particularly with regard to suspected blood, once you got down on the basement level?
I did not notice anything like that in the basement, correct.
All right. So in other parts of the townhouse, did you see areas with suspected blood?
Yes.
And like generally speaking, where did you see that?
The main floor, the hallway near the front entrance, and the living room.
All right. But those areas with suspected blood that you've referred to, I mean, did you see anything like that down in the basement?
I did not.
Okay. If you had seen suspected blood, would you have made note of that?
Yes, and I would have brought it to the attention of the other investigators.
Did you have any reason or motivation to not report potential items of relevant evidence in the basement?
No, I wouldn't do that. If there was something relevant, it would be known.
Okay. Now, aside from the interior of their house, did you also take note of anything in the exterior of the townhouse area, particularly the parking lot area that was nearby?
Yes. There was a vehicle in the parking lot that my attention was brought to.
All right. And what specifically about a vehicle in the parking lot got your attention?
There was a vehicle that had flat tires, and it had appeared that the tires had been either slashed or struck with a knife.
And why was that relevant to you?
Well, we're investigating a homicide that's related to a stabbing. So in the same parking lot or near the residence where the victim resided, there was a vehicle that had apparent slash marks in the tires.
All right, so you had a chance to actually get up close to the tires and look at these apparent slash marks in the tires themselves?
Yes.
Can I approach her?
You may.
So I'm showing you a set of photographs that have been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 82. If you could look through them and let me know whether you recognize any of the objects that are depicted in those photographs.
Yes, I recognize these.
And what do they appear to be?
They appear to be the tires that I photographed with the apparent slash marks in the tires.
All right, and do those photographs appear to be a fair and accurate representation of the conditions of the tires as you saw them on the 21st of October?
Yes.
People would move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 82.
No objection.
People's 82 will be admitted.
Now, this is the first page of People's Exhibit 82. Can you just describe what we're looking at here?
Yes, these are two tires that are set on the ground. They've been taken off the vehicle and just laying them out to get an overall look at them. This is outside in the parking lot near 1366 Joliet.
All right. All right, now looking at slide number 2, what's going to be depicted here?
This is just a closer photo of one of the tires.
And slide number 3.
And this is even closer now on one of the tires with the apparent slash marks.
And you have a pointer behind you. Could you just perhaps indicate to the jurors where the suspected slash marks are in the tire?
Yes. Right about here. And then these marks as well.
This is now slide number 4. Do you see any relevant items of interest in this photograph?
Yes. Again, up here, right here, and then these marks as well.
And this is slide number 5. What's this a photograph of?
This is going to be another tire, just an overall photo of it.
All right. And slide number 6, is there a reason you took this photograph?
Yes, it's a closer photo of the same tire, just to show the other slash marks on the second tire.
All right. And is this a close-up of that same tire?
Yes, it is.
And can you just indicate where the suspected slash marks in the tire are?
Yes. Right here, 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 and here.
So that's a total of 5 suspected cuts into this tire?
Yes.
All right, so now we're showing Exhibit 3 that's already been admitted. And do you recognize any of the items that are depicted in this image that we're showing you here?
Yes, I do.
And what does it depict?
This depicts the neighborhood or the general area of where this crime scene is located. With the blue box with 1366, that is the location of the victim's townhouse.
All right, and this general overview that you're looking at here, is that how it appeared to you when you were physically present in that area back on October 21st?
Yes, it does.
All right, so can you indicate at all on this overhead view where the vehicle was with the tires that had been slashed?
Yes, that vehicle was parked approximately in this location, just outside of the main parking lot for 1366.
And so the area you pointed to, that is directly west of where the Chrysler School is noted on the map?
That's correct.
Okay. So now we're going to pull up Exhibit 8. It's already been admitted. And we're stopped here at 22 minutes and 18 seconds. Now, from this still image, do you see the vehicle that had the tires that had been damaged?
Yes, I do.
Could you also point to the jurors where that vehicle is here?
It is this white SUV here. It's a Mercedes SUV.
And so, the cursor now, we have not played the video, but we're fast forwarding in time. Can you see any movement in that vehicle as time is passing?
Yes, it appears there's some movement.
And can you just describe the movement that you see there?
It just looks like up and down motion.
So the car appears to be going from an...
Elevated position to a lower position, yes.
All right, and it's not as if the vehicle is being operated by anyone at this time?
No, it appears not.
Okay. And what we're seeing here, where it appears to be a parking lot, is that the same parking lot that you just referred to to the jurors?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So, after you were present on the 21st of October, did you continue to remain involved in the investigation of the case?
Yes, I did.
And as part of your job responsibilities, did you author several search warrants for phone records?
Yes.
All right. And what was your purpose in obtaining search warrants from phone records from various individuals?
It's to assist in identifying different locations that individuals' devices had been previously, looking for historical records. We can look for pings to find current locations. It's just to cover all of our bases for the investigation.
Now, do you yourself analyze those phone records and interpret what the data shows in the phone records that you receive?
I personally did not do that for this incident.
Okay. Was it forwarded to somebody else that you were working with who did that analysis?
Yes.
All right. And did you obtain phone records in this case for a phone number associated with Samantha Woll?
Yes.
Did you also obtain phone records for a number of individuals by the names of Robert Becker, Jeffrey Herbstman, Aaron Pergament, Benjamin Safran, Josh Goldberg, David Wilkinson?
Yes.
All right. And did you also, in this case, obtain phone records for an international mobile subscriber identity of 310-2600-699-10170?
Yes.
All right. So all these phone records, you mentioned that you gave them to somebody else?
That's correct.
And what was that person's name?
That's Special Agent Brian Tolsitz with the FBI.
All right. Now, on November 8th of 2023, did you have an occasion to go to 603 West Grand Boulevard in the city of Detroit?
Yes, I did.
And what was your purpose for being there on that day?
My purpose was to be present for the execution of a search warrant at that residence of 603 West Grand. The purpose was to look for evidence and process the house.
All right. And so as part of your investigation, when you were physically present, did you notice any cameras that may have been mounted on the exterior of that home?
Yes, I did.
And so did you have any involvement with those cameras while you were executing the search warrant?
Yes, sir.
And what was your involvement with those?
I removed the front camera from the front of the residence.
And why did you do that?
Just standard at search warrants, something that I do, take it down to remove it, prevent it from recording any of our conversations about the investigation, and take it down as well as our safety, or so other people aren't watching what we're doing.
Okay. And within your job as a police officer, do you occasionally wear a body camera?
Yes.
And are you familiar with other police officers who wear body cameras?
Yes, I am.
And do you have the ability to review body camera footage from other police officers?
Yes.
Now, in this case, did you review some body camera footage that was taken back on November 8th of 2023?
Yes, I did.
And did you see yourself on any of the body camera footage that you reviewed?
Yes, sir.
And the footage that you reviewed, was it a fair and accurate representation of the things that you personally experienced or were present for over the course of the execution of that search warrant?
Yes.
Aaron, at this point, I move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 120.
Oh, yes.
People 120.
We're going to play Exhibit 100.
For the record, Your Honor, I'm going to publish, there's 3 files. I'm going to publish the first file on Exhibit 120.
Police, search warrant, come to the door.
All right, so throughout this clip, what was that depicting?
That's depicting the approach to the residence for the search warrant.
All right, and were you present in that video?
Yes, I was.
Now, at the time before you entered, did you know if anyone was inside the residence?
It was at the time. It was my understanding that nobody was going to be there.
Okay. So, what we heard with the loudspeaker, is that standard procedure?
Yes, the lights and the speaker to announce our presence.
And for the record, I'm going to now publish the second clip on Exhibit 120.
We can just take it down. Just pull it and it'll come off.
And I'll now publish the third clip on Exhibit 120.
CCTV cameras back here. Oh, you got one right there. Alright, low.
All right, so the two clips that we just saw, what did you observe on those clips?
The removal of the exterior cameras on the house.
I would object, as that's a mischaracterization of clip number 3. There was not a removal. There was an acknowledgement of the camera in the rear of the house, but not a removal.
I mean, the jury can draw their own conclusions. That's really argument.
The objection is overruled. The jury can know what they say.
Now fast forwarding, that was on November 8th. So now I want to go fast forward to November 30th of 2023. Did something happen on that day that was part of your investigation into the death of Samantha Woll?
Yes.
All right, and did you, on that day, go to the area of Utica Road and 13 Mile Road that day?
Yes.
And what was your purpose going there?
I was a part of and assisted in a mobile surveillance operation of the suspect.
All right, so you've mentioned a suspect.
Yes.
Now, this person that you were engaging in mobile surveillance with, do you see that person in court today?
I do.
Can you point to that person and describe what they're wearing?
Yes. To my right, it's a brown suit and blue tie.
For the record, the witness has identified the defendant. I guess, how many people are standing where you pointed, or sitting where you pointed?
I apologize. He's the person in the middle of the 3 people to my right.
At the table to their right.
Yes.
For the record, I'd note that the witness identified the defendant, Michael Jackson-Bolanos.
So noted for the record.
So, generally speaking, back on November 30th, what led you to the point where you were doing mobile surveillance on the defendant?
I'm sorry, you said what led us to that?
Yes.
It was a process of going through evidence, process of going through phone records, process of reviewing and collecting and watching video throughout the area near where the crime scene was, and just a whole collection of all the evidence and what brought us there.
All right. Now, you mentioned some video that was reviewed. Did you ever personally review any relevant video evidence?
I did.
And in particular, did you ever review any video that had been obtained from the Chrysler Elementary School?
Yes, I did.
And was that video from the overnight hours from October 20th to October 21st?
Yes.
And did you personally make any observations while you watched that video that got your attention?
Yes.
Just describe what you saw.
I was reviewing the camera that faces to the west from the Chrysler Elementary School. I had a view of Lafayette, and I had a view of Joliet. I was reviewing the camera view from Lafayette, and I observed what appeared to be an individual or a person walking across Lafayette towards where the crime scene is, also towards the parking lot of where that vehicle had the apparent slashed tires. This person temporarily went out of view as the area has trees. I continued to watch the Joliet view, which captures the parking lot outside of the victim's townhouse. What appeared to me is the same person that I previously saw walking on Lafayette entering the parking lot. That individual was observed on camera in the area for a little bit of time. I continued to observe that individual. What I believe is the individual pulling on a door handle in the parking lot where the victim's townhouse is at. It looked like entry was gained inside, and possibly a bag was being carried at some point after.
So, if I can just stop you here, this person
Yes.
that you saw, at least when you first saw them on the video, did you know who that person was?
No, I did not know the person on the video.
Okay, so this person got your attention. Why did he get your attention specifically?
I was watching hours of video and there was not many people walking around in the area at that time. So it was a person walking towards the crime scene, and that's what got my attention.
And so, obviously, well, not obviously, but did you report this to other police officers?
Yes, I did.
And was there an effort to obtain more and more surveillance video from around the surrounding areas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, did you personally pull every video clip from every building throughout town, or did other police officers work on that project as well?
It was a collaborative effort. There's numerous police officers that helped with that.
All right. So, to go back now to November 30th of 2023, when you say you're doing mobile surveillance, like what exactly does that mean? What are you doing?
Myself and several other detectives are in our unmarked police vehicles. We were following and observing and communicating with each other of the suspect that we are following.
All right. Now, this person that you've identified as the defendant.
Yes.
When you were following him, you said you were in a car.
Yes, I was.
So was the defendant in a car?
Yes.
And can you describe what kind of car he was in?
It was a older black Dodge Charger. The license plate was ESU, I believe it was 5393.
All right. And were you able to personally observe the defendant driving that vehicle?
Yes.
All right. So describe what happened as you're engaging in surveillance on the vehicle.
We monitored that vehicle and the defendant. We followed him, and then we had a uniform and marked Michigan State Police sergeant conduct a traffic stop and make contact.
Now, why would you have a uniformed police officer make a stop as opposed to you in the surveillance vehicle?
The police presence and authority of a uniformed officer to make the stop, and they have actual lights to conduct that traffic stop.
All right. And so, do you know if the lights or sirens were used in order to get the defendant's vehicle to pull over?
Yes.
All right. And did you get out of your car once the vehicle was pulled over?
Eventually, yes.
All right. And did you make any observations of the defendant during this traffic stop?
Yes.
Just describe what you saw.
I observed the state police sergeant making contact with him, speaking with him. The defendant was standing in front of the sergeant's patrol vehicle. The sergeant ultimately placed the defendant under arrest in handcuffs and transported him from that location.
And do you know what was done with the vehicle that he was driving?
Yes.
So describe what happened to that vehicle.
So that vehicle remained there at the traffic stop location. A Detroit police sergeant responded, and we placed another uniform car there to supervise that vehicle, as well as myself. I sat in the area with that vehicle and supervised it to make sure nobody entered it or removed anything from the vehicle.
All right. So as you're there observing the vehicle, did anyone put anything in the vehicle or take anything out of the vehicle?
No, sir.
Now, did you ever see any cellular devices in and around that vehicle when you were able to approach the vehicle?
Yes.
So describe what you saw.
It was a red Apple iPhone. It was sitting on the driver's seat.
Okay. It was sitting on the driver's seat of the Charger that you referred to?
Yes, sir.
All right. And when did you first see it there?
As soon as I walked up to the vehicle, and I observed it in plain view sitting on the seat.
All right. And about how long after you'd seen the defendant interact with the trooper who pulled him over, did you have an occasion to go and actually look in the interior of the vehicle and see the phone?
Yes, immediately after the defendant was transported away from the traffic stop, I approached and I observed it.
Okay. And you said that a Detroit police officer came, and did he actually help tow the car away?
Yes, he did.
And ultimately, did you obtain a search warrant to look into the interior of that Dodge Charger?
Yes, I did.
And as part of that search warrant, did you obtain the phone that was observed in the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And what was done with that phone?
I immediately transported that cell phone to the Detroit Public Safety Headquarters, where it was turned over to Detective Sarah Markle for a forensic download.
Okay.
And I placed the item on evidence as item 155.
All right. May I approach you?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 39. I'm going to ask if you recognize the object I'm holding here.
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
This is the Apple iPhone that I seized from that traffic stop from that Dodge Charger.
Okay. And you said you put that on an evidence tag number?
Yes,
And what number was that?
155.
So the envelope I'm holding, does that have an evidence tag number printed on it?
Yes, sir.
And what's the number on this envelope?
The evidence tag number is 155.
People would move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 39.
No objection.
People's 39 is the number.
So you said that once you placed it on evidence, it was forwarded to another police officer?
That's correct.
All right, so did you yourself personally use a computer to look at any of the data contained within the cellular device?
I did not.
I don't have any other questions here.
Cross?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Detective Trooper.
Hey, good morning, sir.
Now, you indicated that you went over to 1366 Joliet Place in Detroit, correct?
That's correct.
And you went into the basement and you, from your observation, you didn't see what appeared to be suspected blood, correct?
That's correct.
If I'm sorry, if you give me the HDMI cord. Thank you. If I could direct your attention to People's Exhibit number 10, slide 304. If you look right where my cursor is, or above my cursor,
Yep.
by the sink and the washing machine or dryer, were you able to identify that and observe that in person while you were at the scene?
The mark on the floor?
Yes, this mark.
I see it in this photo.
Yes. But
It was not blood. Whatever that is, I did not observe or indicate any.
okay, you said you're making a conclusion as of right now. My question
I'm
is,
just telling you, I didn't observe any blood.
okay, did you observe this mark, whatever it is, on the floor at the location?
I don't recall this mark at this moment.
Okay, okay, thank you. Did you ever look in the sink?
I did.
You did? Okay. Did you take any pictures from inside the sink?
No, sir.
Okay, did the sink appear to be clean?
There wasn't anything notable in my opinion.
Okay. And you would agree that the outside condition of this sink looks rather clean, correct?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Now, in relation to exhibit number 8, which you were shown, which were some slashed tires from an automobile, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were also shown a video clip of, I guess, some responding officers, their dash cam, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know approximately when the time of that would have been when those officers arrived on the scene?
Not at this moment, no.
Okay. But from your opinion, it seemed like this particular automobile was, I guess, going down, the tires being deflated during the duration of that video footage?
I'm not saying they're being deflated at that moment, but on the video clearly looked like the vehicle was elevated and going lower. There's clearly some motion in the video.
Okay. Were you able to examine the tires personally?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Were you able to, I guess, get an estimate of what the depth of the incisions on the tires were?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you ever send that off to get analyzed?
There was actually a lab professional on scene. I inquired with him about the evidentiary value of seizing the tires, and he advised me that there was none. So the tires were not seized, they were just photographed.
Okay. And based upon the incision from your expert, did you ever reach any understanding of approximately how long ago those incisions could have been made?
I'm sorry, can you please ask me that question again?
When speaking with, you said you had an expert on the scene, correct?
Yes.
Okay, when speaking
Well,
with...
professional, lab professional.
Okay, lab professional. When speaking with your lab professional colleague of yours, did you ever come to an understanding based upon the depth or perceived depth of those incisions, approximately how long ago they could have been done?
I didn't learn from that lab professional, but I learned from the owners of that vehicle.
Okay, but you never learned from the owners of the vehicle an estimated time frame of when that could have happened to be still being depleted by the time that the arriving officers responded to the scene, correct?
If I remember correctly, speaking to them, they parked the vehicle at that location. The tires were inflated, and when they came out the next day, the tires were deflated.
Okay. So just to be clear, you couldn't give an estimate of when in the night you could assume or estimate that this could have happened, correct?
No, sir, I don't know.
Okay. Now, you also indicated that you went to 603 West Grand, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you indicated that clip number 3 in Exhibit 120, from your observation, you stated that it depicted the removal of the rear camera?
Yes, it did, especially when you relate it to the clip 2. It's the same two people, just different views.
Okay. But you would agree that the pic that you saw, the clip number 3, didn't actually depict the cameras being removed. You would agree to that, correct?
In a reasonable view of the video, I believe that the camera was removed, especially when you reference it from video number 2.
Okay. Now, did you have an opportunity to review or the garage of this location?
The garage?
Yes, the garage.
Yes.
Okay. And did you notice a bike inside the garage?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Was that bicycle ever seized for possibly any evidentiary value?
I don't believe it was seized.
Okay. Was the bike analyzed to see if it was possibly used recently?
No, I'm not sure how you could tell if a bike was used recently anyways.
Okay. Did you analyze the tires to see if the tires had possibly dirt on there that could have been new?
I didn't analyze the bike by any means other than physically looking at it myself.
Did you look at the tires?
I looked at the overall, the bike, so the
Okay.
tires would be part of it.
Okay. Did you take any photographs of that?
No, sir, I was not the evidence tech for the
Okay.
search warrant.
During this time frame, were you the officer in charge?
No, sir.
Okay. But you did request multiple search warrants, correct?
I authored numerous search warrants, yes.
Okay. And as part of one of the search warrants, you requested the infotainment system from Jeff Herbstman's Volkswagen, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And the reason why you requested that infotainment system because it had a GPS navigation in there, correct?
It's from my understanding, yes.
Okay. And it was your reasoning that that particular infotainment system could have evidentiary value as to where this car could have recently been, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever get a download of this particular infotainment system?
I authored the search warrant and I forwarded it to the correct people that are responsible for that. That is not my position, and I don't have the training to extract that.
Okay. But as part of your role in this investigation, it never came to your attention that there was any, I guess, download of this infotainment system from this Volkswagen, correct?
Sir, I'm not familiar if it was done or not. I just authored the search warrant.
So to be clear, it never came to your mind bank that this particular infotainment system was downloaded and information was extracted from it, as far as you know, correct?
As far as I know.
Okay, fair enough. You also requested a search warrant for Jeff Herbstman's phone number or his cell phone, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware that Jeff Hirschman had a Google Voice telephone number?
No.
Okay, so it'd be fair to say that you never authored or requested a search warrant of a Google Voice phone number that was associated with Jeff Hirschman's, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You also requested a search warrant for Aaron Pergament, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you requested this search warrant, you felt personally that Aaron Pergament was being deceitful when he spoke to Officer Crenshaw, correct?
Objection. It's objection.
You can see how you feel.
That's not in evidence.
I'm asking about a search warrant. You can say how you felt.
There could be various reasons why he gets a search warrant, but the fact that he may have felt he was deceitful is
The fact that he made what?
his personal opinion about whether he was deceitful. There's no facts and evidence to support that.
In your search warrant, you stated that you felt this particular way, didn't you?
Sir, in my search warrants, it says they're based on a collection of evidence from other investigators and my personal experience. So if an investigator expressed to me that he thought he may have been being untruthful or however you described it, then it's a documentation of all the investigators and myself.
Okay.
My personal experience with him is not there.
Okay. And it was based upon your understanding and your review of the evidence that Aaron Pergament had a key to Samantha Woll's residence. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And based upon your knowledge of the case and your understanding, Aaron Pergament was being deceitful when asked about that key to Samantha Woll's house by Officer Crenshaw, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And a matter of fact, you reviewed several text messages that were going back and forth between Aaron Pergament and Samantha Woll about Aaron Pergament possessing that key, correct?
I don't remember if it was me exactly, if that's the words in my search warrant, or if it was from someone else. But
Okay.
yes, the text conversation is there.
Okay. And based upon that conversation, you were understanding that Aaron Pergament, at least one time, if not others, was coming over to Samantha Woll's house and said, "Hey, I have a key." Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it was also your understanding, based upon your knowledge of this case, that that particular key was never returned back to Samantha Woll, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you also stated, and you felt in your search warrant, that based upon your knowledge of crimes and investigations, you stated that some suspects leave their cellular devices at home when they go out to commit a crime. You stated that, didn't you?
That is a possibility, yes.
You said that's a possibility?
Depends on the crime. I can't control what people do, but yes, it's possible somebody can do that.
Okay, but you, in fact, when you requested a search warrant, you stated that particular phrase or those feelings in the affidavit, correct?
Yes, I
Okay.
stated that.
Okay. And when you stated that, this was based upon your previous knowledge of investigations, correct?
Yes.
And you felt that that particular information was pertinent in this particular case, didn't you?
All avenues and aspects for the case are important, so yes, for this circumstance, that's listed in there, yes.
Okay. You didn't list every single possibility in the search warrant, did you?
Not every possibility,
Okay.
just what we had at the time.
Okay. And when you request a search warrant, you try to have it as narrowly tailored as possible so it can be specific to whoever's authorizing the search warrant, correct? You don't just say anything that doesn't pertain to the case, correct?
Yeah, the contents of the search warrant pertain to the case.
Okay. And based upon your knowledge of this case and what you thought that that could be at play in this case where individuals may have done a crime, but they left their cell phone at home to avoid detection of where their cell phone was, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, when did your involvement in this case cease?
My involvement began if I remember correctly, the day after the homicide occurred.
Okay. Were you ever reassigned?
I don't understand that question.
Were you ever reassigned to that you're no longer investigating this case? Excuse me.
That was not
Okay.
expressed to me by. No.
Okay. But at some point in time, it was your understanding that Sergeant Stockmeyer then took over the case as far as authorizing warrants?
No, sir.
Or not authorizing warrants, but requesting warrants. I'm sorry.
Detective Trooper Stockmeyer is the officer in charge of the case while she was working with us. I authored search warrants, and as well as I did other things for the investigation. But there's a moment in time where I was tied up on a task for the investigation. Somebody else can author a search warrant. I'm not the sole contributor of search warrants for the case.
Okay, but you would agree that in this particular case, you requested the vast majority of search warrants in this case, correct?
I did.
Okay. Did you ever request any search warrants for Jeff Hertzman's bank records?
I don't recall if I did.
Okay. Did you check to see if possibly Jeff Hertzman had access to Mogul, which is the bike sharing application or bike sharing service?
I'm not sure about mobile.
Mogul, I'm sorry.
No, I know what you're referring to. I'm just not sure if one was done for that.
Okay. Were you aware at the time of the search warrant that Jeff Hertzman was an avid bicyclist?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Had you known that, would you have possibly taken photographs of his bicycle that was located in his garage?
Sir, I was not the evidence tech at the search warrant, so I didn't take any photographs at all.
Okay, but you would agree that the evidence techs don't have 100% discretion of what photos they take. You would agree to that, correct?
Sure, they take some pictures
Okay.
based on our direction.
Okay. And was it your direction that was directing the evidence techs at this particular location at 603 West Grand?
No. Maybe at some point inside. I can't tell you everywhere in the house where I asked them to take a picture.
Okay.
There's numerous investigators there. I did not ask for the bicycle.
Okay. But you agree that you had the ability and the authority to direct that,
Of
correct?
course,
Okay.
yes.
All right, fair enough. Now, as part as your surveillance on my client, was there a tracker that was ever placed on his car?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when he was eventually pulled over, he didn't try to flee or anything, did he?
No, sir.
Okay. And when he was eventually arrested, he didn't resist or obstruct, as far as you know, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Were you ever aware that after the death of Samantha Woll that Jeff Hertzman had a bonfire at his residence?
I don't recall knowing that fact.
Okay. Did you ever locate a fire pit that was located at Jeff Hertzman's residence?
I remember there being some burnt leftovers of what appeared to be a fire.
Okay.
I can't describe if it was a pit or in the ground or.
Okay. Was that particular area ever analyzed to see if it had any remains of clothing?
Not by me, no.
Okay.
No.
Was that area ever analyzed to see if it had any fire accelerants around the particular area, such as gasoline?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And you personally didn't instruct any evidence techs to photograph this fire pit, correct?
No, I did
Okay.
not.
Now, there were a lot of prescription medications that were located inside of this house on 603 West Grand, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there were also some pills that were in a Ziploc bag, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were those ever seized and processed to figure out exactly what substance they were?
No, sir.
But there were some different containers, one being a mason jar and one being a Ziploc bag that had mushrooms in there?
Yes.
Okay, and from your observation, did these appear to be psychedelic mushrooms?
I believe they were.
Okay. And you also saw multiple pictures inside of this residence, correct?
Yes.
And you would agree that there were multiple pictures in different locations of Jeff Herbstman in the picture with Samantha Woll, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, then, there was also a knife that was recovered from this location, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know whether or not, if you know, this particular knife was, I guess, processed for hair samples?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. But you were aware that Samantha Woll was stabbed at least 2 times in her scalp, correct?
I'm aware of that.
Okay. Thank you, Detective Trooper. No further questions.
Thank you, sir.
You were asked whether or not you ever obtained a search warrant for, I guess, a bike sharing service for Jeffrey Herbstman.
Yes.
All right. Did you ever, regarding Jeffrey Herbstman, did you ever attempt to obtain a search warrant for Uber records belonging to Jeff Herbstman?
Yes.
Did you ever obtain via search warrant Lyft records for Jeffrey Herbstman?
Yes.
Did you ever obtain via search warrant records from the Lime scooter business for Jeffrey Herbstman?
Yes.
Did you ever obtain via search warrant records for Jeffrey Herbstman for the Bird scooter service?
Yes.
Now, based on all those search warrants, did you ever become aware of any evidence through any of those search warrants related to Jeff Herbstman that connected him to the death of Samantha Woll?
No.
I don't have any other questions.
No questions.
Questions from the jury? Write down, counsel approach. it standard police procedure to remove cameras or break cameras off a mount during the execution of a search warrant like was shown in People's 120?
Yes.
Why is that?
To remove the cameras from the residence to prevent persons of interest or suspects listening on police conversation, picking up on the details of the investigation or anything like that, or somebody watching us remotely from another location.
And does the white Mercedes SUV shown in the parking lot near 1366 Joliet have an air ride suspension, if you know?
I do not know.
Anything further?
Not for me, Your Honor.
One quick question. Do you know whether or not these cameras had an internal storage device, such as a memory card?
Based on my training experience with Arlo cameras, I'm familiar with them to be cloud-based.
Okay.
No physical DVR box.
Okay. And did you request a search warrant for the Arlen Cloud service?
Officer Crenshaw did.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Anything further?
Not for me.
Any other questions from the jury? Okay, thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you so much.
Ready to go point, take up the morning break?
Yes, sir.
Take a 10-minute recess, well, what, 12-minute recess or 13-minute recess till 11:10, and we'll come back at 11:10. Do you need to go out or just want to go into the jury room? Recall the case number 24-000-535, People versus Michael Jackson-Bolanos. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ryan Elson, people.
Dominic DeGrazia on behalf of the people.
Brian Brown on behalf of Mr. Jackson-Bolanos.
Good morning, Your Honor. Thank you for appearing on behalf of Mr. Jackson-Bolanos' co-counsel.
And I note for the record, Mr. Jackson-Bolanos is present, all counsel is present, and our 15 jurors have returned to the courtroom. We're ready to continue. You may be seated. Your next witness.
People call Sergeant Christopher Neiman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
State your name and spell it for the record.
Christopher Neiman. Neiman is N-I-E-M-A-N.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Good morning, sir. Where do you work?
City of Detroit Police, 9th Precinct.
How long have you been a police officer for?
25 years.
Were you working as a police officer back on November 30th of 2023 at around 1:30 in the afternoon?
I was.
And were you directed to go to the area of 30283 Utica Road in the city of Roseville?
Yes.
And why were you called out to go to that location?
Lieutenant Bray from the Homicide Task Force contacted me, asked me to come and recover a vehicle that they wanted placed on evidence.
All right. And so did you have to get there with a car?
Yes.
Were you in the car by yourself, or were there other officers with you?
I was by myself.
And so when you got to that location in Roseville, what did you observe?
There was a dark-colored Charger, I don't recall the exact color, parked against the building which is located on the west side of Utica Road. It's a convenience store.
And you said it was a Dodge Charger?
Yes.
Do you remember what the license plate number of that vehicle was?
I do not.
If you were to look at a document, would that refresh your memory?
Yes.
They approach you.
The license plate number recorded in my report was Edward Sam Union, that's ESU 5396.
Now, when you're impounding or recovering a vehicle, can you just describe generally the process of impounding a vehicle?
Well, in this particular case, generally the process is we fill out an impound card, We do an inventory search of the vehicle if the situation permits it, which this particular case, I did not do an inventory search for the possibility of contaminating evidence.
All right, so let me just break this down a little bit. When you say the word or the phrase inventory search, what does that phrase mean to you?
That just means that we're checking the vehicle for any possible valuables, contraband, anything that appears as evidence.
And typically you might do that like out wherever the car is pulled over in public, as opposed to doing that at a police tow yard or something like that.
Yes, typically.
Okay. Now in this case you did not do that?
No, I was directed by Lieutenant Bray that the vehicle was going on evidence and to not conduct an inventory search.
All right, so did you ever go into the interior of the vehicle and search around or touch anything?
No, I don't believe so.
And did you ever place any objects inside the interior of the vehicle?
No.
And what about the trunk itself? Did you ever go into the trunk and mess around with any objects in the trunk?
No.
All right, so ultimately was a tow truck called to the location?
Yes.
And did you see what the tow truck did?
The city tow truck came, loaded it on the flatbed. At that point, I followed the vehicle from that location to our evidence garage on Mount Elliott near McNichols.
All right, and is that at 11631 Mount Elliott?
Yes.
And is that a garage that is controlled by the Detroit Police Department?
Yes.
Now, from where you were in Roseville to when you ended up on Mount Elliott, did you ever see that vehicle? Did you ever lose sight of that vehicle or anything like
No.
that? Did you ever see any individuals going into the interior or the trunk of that vehicle?
No.
Once it arrived at the garage, what happened to the vehicle at that point?
I turned it over to evidence garage personnel. There's a form that we fill out that says we're turning it over to them.
And so did you have any other further involvement with that vehicle once it ended up at the Mount Elliott garage?
No.
I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Judge, you pass on this with us, thank you.
Any questions from the board? I don't see anything else. Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you.
Next witness?
People call him Corporal Eugene Fitzhugh.
Please raise your right hand. Mr. Fisher, do you promise to run the testimony to be given today? Is the truth, nothing but the truth?
Good afternoon, or good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Hold that mic nice and close to you, and please state your name and spell it for the record.
My name is Eugene Fitzhugh. First name is E-U-G-E-N-E. The last name is F like Frank, I-T-Z-H-U-G-H.
Good morning, sir. Where do you work?
City of Detroit Police Department,
And what type of work do you do for the police department?
crime scene investigator.
All right, and so what type of work do you do as a crime scene
I should
investigator?
say the title of the job is evidence technician.
All right. And how long have you been in that role within the police department?
Since 98, I think. 1998.
1998?
Correct.
All right. Now, back on November 30th, of 2023, were you directed to go to an evidence garage located at 11631 Mount Elliott in the city of Detroit?
That's where I work, yes.
And were you tasked with searching any vehicles at that time?
Well, that's primarily what I do, but yes, on that particular day, I searched a Dodge Charger.
And do you remember the license plate number of the Dodge Charger that you searched?
I'd have to refer to my report.
That would refresh your memory?
Yes.
Hey, approach here.
License plate on the vehicle was Edward Sam Union 5396.
And can you just describe for the jurors, when you're tasked with searching a vehicle for potential items of evidence, just describe what the process is when you process a vehicle.
Well, it starts with a work order. Usually the work order is a written request that I receive by email. The work request will tell me the investigator that's handling the case, sometimes the complainant's name, the make, model, year, color of the vehicle, and what the specific work request is. So what I will do, I'll take that work request, I'll go to the vehicle, because we may have several Dodge Chargers, and I will verify the color, the VIN number, which is most important, the license plate number, and the full description of the car. Just make sure I have the right car.
And on this occasion, back on November 30th, were you working with any other evidence technicians?
I was working with a trainee,
All right, and do you recall what that person's name was?
Kathleen Bruner.
All right. And with this specific vehicle, were you directed or tasked with looking for specific items or potential items of evidence on the exterior and the interior of the vehicle?
We were requested to search for knives, blood, bloody clothing, electronic devices such as cell phones. There may be some other things I'd have to refer to my report, but those were the basics.
Do you recall whether or not you were tasked with any finding, like backpacks, for example?
And backpacks, yes, that was one of the things, yes.
And after the vehicle was searched, or at least as it was being searched, do you know if photographs were being taken of the vehicle?
Generally, our procedure is to, after we've identified the vehicle, make sure we got the right vehicle, is to photograph that vehicle. We photograph the exterior and the interior, and that's one go-around of the exterior and the interior. While we're photographing, we're also looking for potential evidence. So yes, the vehicle is photographed.
And have you had an opportunity to look at any photographs that were taken on this day, on this occasion, with this specific Dodge Charger?
A few of them, yes.
And were they fair and accurate representations of the way the vehicle looked and the items that were found within the vehicle?
Yes.
And is it your understanding it's contained within a disc marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 84?
Yes.
People would move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 84.
No objection.
That would be admitted. You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, so now we're looking at People's Exhibit 84, and this is slide 1 of People's Exhibit 84. Can you just describe what information is meant to be conveyed in this slide?
Certainly. This is what we refer to as an ID shot. And what that is that we use digital photography nowadays, and we may process one vehicle or one scene or multiple vehicles and or scenes in the course of an 8-hour shift. So this designates the time and date that we're processing a vehicle for Detective Trooper Stockmeyer. At the very top, it shows you a 10-digit number, which represents the year 23, the day, monthly day, October 21st, and that was the 85th incident on October the 25th that the crime occurred. We're processing the vehicle on November the 30th at 8 p.m. We're at the evidence garage, which is 11631 Mount Elliott. The work request is for Detective Trooper Stockmeyer. It's related to a homicide, as I indicated to you earlier. I was working with Kathleen Bruner, who's a trainee. So her name appears where it says followed by the badge. She doesn't have a badge number, but she's a forensic technician trainee. That's what the FTT stands for. The code would be 4720/3. The 3 is for platoon 3 or the afternoon shift. At the very bottom is my last name, Fitzhugh.
Now, if we go to slide 5, can you just describe, is this the vehicle that was searched?
Yes,
And is there a license plate attached to the vehicle?
there is.
And what is that license plate number again?
That license plate is ESU or Edward Sam Union 5396.
Now moving to slide 10. All right, so this photograph, is this photograph taken after the door to the vehicle had been opened?
Yes.
And what is meant to be depicted in this photograph?
Well, what you see in the photograph is a cell phone, a ring doorbell, a power cord, I guess, kind of purple bag, and I think that's a nail cleaner, that item with the, cleaner?
Yes, if you. The orange tip extends.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I think this here is something that you use for your nails.
Now moving to slide 14. Is this another photograph of items taken from the interior of the vehicle?
Yes.
All right, now, can you just describe what's meant to be depicted in this photograph?
Just the items that were inside the vehicle. You've got a lighter. You got a card here that says Quality Roots. I'm not sure what this is. The part of it is missing. And this appears to be a glass case.
All right, so at least one of those cards on there has some words saying Quality Roots on it.
Correct.
All right. I'm moving to slide 25. All right, and can you just describe what's meant to be depicted in this photograph?
Certainly. What you're looking at is the right rear passenger compartment of the vehicle. The door is in the open position. On the seat, you have a wood club or bat. On the floor, you've got like a head and neck brace, or rest, if you will. Some papers that are on the floor, and you've got some sort of a card here on the seat.
And the condition of these objects, or at least the location of them, is that where those items were located when the vehicle was first opened?
Yes.
All right, now moving on to 26. All right, is that this wooden object that was found in the vehicle?
Yes. This is the wooden bat or club right here.
And now slide number 36. All right, can you just describe what's meant to be depicted in this photograph?
In this photograph, you see the trunk of the vehicle with the trunk lid open. You've got a tote bag here with some clothing items in it, some clothing items over here. You've got a backpack here, and another kind of a tote bag over here.
And the items as they're depicted in this photograph, is that how they appeared when the trunk was first opened?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned a backpack. What color is that backpack?
Black and gray.
Okay. And the way it's depicted is how it initially appeared to you?
That's how it was in the trunk, yes.
Okay. On slide 41. All right, so what is this in this photograph?
That is a document written to Michael Jackson-Bolanos at an address of 19371 Trinity in the city of Detroit. And it is from Michigan First, which is located at 27,000 Evergreen, and I think it has to do with his direct deposit account.
Can we approach? Yes.
So, without getting into the details of what was on the document, was there a name associated on that document?
Yes.
Well, we don't have it now, but was
Yes,
it
there was.
Michael Jackson-Bolanos was on that
Correct.
document? All right. Where was the document found within the vehicle?
That I'm not certain. If I can refer to my report, it might be in there.
Can you pull the mic? We're gonna have to.
I'm sorry.
It's really hard to hear you.
I'm sorry.
Your head turned.
If I can refer to my report, it might be in there. I have a copy of it with me.
Okay. If you need to refer to your report.
I don't have information as to where directly it was found.
So I'm going to direct your attention to slide number 38. All right. Now, are these different objects that were found within the vehicle?
Yes.
All right. And do you know if any of the paperwork that you found was located in any of these objects?
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
Do you know if any of the paperwork that was just shown was found in any of these objects that are displayed on the screen in slide number 38?
I don't think so.
Slide number 39.
But that's a folder from Michigan First Credit Union.
All right. Is that where the documents were from?
It could have been, yes.
All right. And if we look at slide number 38,
Okay. I see. Yes, this is the folder right here from Michigan First.
all right. So the same folder that was in slide 39 was also in slide 38. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
All right. And that was again found in the interior of the vehicle?
yes.
Slide 45, please. All right, slide 45. And again, is there a name on that bottle that is being held right there?
It is part of the name that you can see is Jackson,
All right.
and over here that you can't see is the name Bolanos.
And that was also found within the vehicle itself?
Yes.
All right. Now moving on to slide 46. What is being held in that object?
What you're looking at is that gray and black backpack that was in the trunk of the vehicle.
All right, slide 47. What is that a photograph of?
It's the same backpack. The first photograph was the front of it. This photograph is the back of the backpack.
And slide 48. Can you describe what's being shown in that photograph?
Yes, that's that same backpack, gray and black in color, and it's in two pieces.
Now, so you said it's in two pieces. Is that the way it was found inside the trunk of the car?
That's the way it was found inside the trunk of the vehicle.
So it was already cut into two?
Yes.
All right. And are you holding both pieces of that backpack in your hand?
I am.
Okay. Now, was this backpack later collected and placed on evidence?
It was.
And was there an evidence tag number that's associated with this gray backpack?
Yes.
And do you recall what that number is?
I'd have to refer to my report.
If that'll refresh your memory.
It will. Gray and black backpack in two pieces in the trunk of the vehicle. Item number 191 of barcode 706-419.
Hey, approach again.
Okay.
To show you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 85, do you recognize any notations on this object?
I do. It's the packaging that the backpack was placed in. It's gray and black backpack cut in two pieces from the trunk of the 2007 Charger. The property tag number, which is the barcode 706-419, which I indicated, and it's item number 191, and it was sealed with our red evidence tape.
All right, so that appears to be the same container that the black backpack was placed into by
Yes.
you?
Yes.
People move to amend People's Proposed Exhibit 85.
No objection. People's 85 would be admitted.
Now, we've gone over some photographs and some different items that were recovered, but you also said that you were going into the interior of the vehicle to look for potential blood.
Yes.
When you went through the interior of the vehicle, did you see any suspected blood inside the vehicle?
I did not.
And did you ever go back after you processed it initially to go back and look at any other suspicious stains or anything like that inside the vehicle?
I did.
Okay. And were you directed to any stains, or did you see it yourself?
I was directed.
And when you were directed to go look in a specific area, what did you observe?
I got a subsequent work request, I think the next day.
Can you pull the mic closer to you?
I'm sorry. I got a subsequent work request, I think the next day, to go back to the vehicle, look at the driver's door, window regulator area, and there was a stain. I was asked to collect that stain. I attempted to collect the stain. In fact, I did swab it. However, after I swabbed it, the stain remained. Usually if it's blood, it'll come up, so I figured, in fact, I put it in my report, that it was probable ink or some other similar material.
All right. And so, just to break that down a little bit, when you say swab, what like exactly do you mean by swabbing it?
When we swab for suspected blood and or DNA, we use basically a Q-tip. There's 2 in a pack, and we swab it with both Q-tips. One we use, one we reserve in case a defense attorney wants to have his own independent analysis done. So I swabbed it with the 2 Q-tips, placed them on evidence.
And you mentioned that when you swabbed it, it didn't react in a way that was typical of suspected blood in your experience?
Correct.
Okay. Now, did you use any chemicals or any other special techniques to try and determine if it was blood or human blood?
No, I wouldn't do that. That would be done by the lab.
And when you say the lab, are you talking about like Michigan State
Michigan
Police?
State Police Lab, yes.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Chip.
Ross?
Hello,
Hello, ma'am.
how are you?
I'm fine.
So, could we go back to slide 10, please? Sir, yeah, if you take a look at slide 10, it'd be safe to say that that blue-handled object is a screwdriver, correct?
It could be.
Do you see the tip of that item?
Well, to me, it looks like either it could be a screwdriver or it could be something that people use to clean their nails with.
Okay. And could we go to slide 26, please? Sir, you indicated that this was a club or a bat, correct?
Correct.
That could be used for sports, correct?
I don't know what sport that it would be used for.
It could be, though, right?
That's a possibility, I suppose.
Okay. And what was slide 37? Can we go to slide 37, please? Sir, do you see the white paperwork right there?
I do.
Now, in slide 38, if you could go to that as well, you see white paperwork in this photograph as well, correct?
If you're referring to the folder, yes.
Okay, so safe to say that that paperwork came from that red bag, correct?
Correct.
And that red bag came from the trunk of that vehicle, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if we could go to slide 45, please. Sir, based on the angle of this photograph, the only name that you're able to see, based on this photograph, would be the name Jackson. Is that correct?
The only name in full you can see, but you can see the
But
D.
sir, so the only name that you can see fully is the name Jackson, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. And there was no other photographs of this bottle that were taken, is that correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And in your report, you actually did not indicate anything in your report about this bottle. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And if we could go to... If we go to slide 48, please. Sir, you indicated that this gray bag was cut, correct?
I indicated it was in the trunk of the vehicle, that it was in two pieces.
You indicated it was in two pieces. Fair to say that you don't actually know how it got into two pieces, correct?
That's correct.
Could have been that a heavy object was put into it and it tore.
That's a possibility, I suppose.
Okay. And safe to say that within the front portion of the vehicle, including the driver's side and the passenger side of that vehicle, you did not find any identifying information as to who the car belonged to in the front portion of that vehicle. Is that correct?
I don't recall that, no.
Okay. And again, that stain that you found on that door panel, you indicated that according to your experience, that was not blood, correct?
It did not lift like blood.
And you suspected it to be ink.
Well, I suggested that it could be something other than blood. It didn't come up. Usually blood will come up.
You specifically suggested that it could be ink, though, correct?
Well, I said it could be ink or some other material.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Redirect.
I don't have anything.
Questions from the jury? Write down, counsel approach. Are you referring to the pill bottle? Where was the blue pill bottle found, and was there anything inside?
I don't recall if there was anything inside. My partner photographed it simply because it was in the vehicle and it had a name on it.
Any further questions based on that?
No, Your Honor.
Just briefly, and so there was nothing in your report that would indicate where that bottle was found, correct?
I'm not sure where it was found, no.
Nothing for the thinking judge.
It was inside the vehicle. That's what you're referring to.
Sir, is the purpose of your report to be as thorough as possible?
It is,
That way you would know where each individual item that you recovered, where it came from, correct?
but we didn't recover it.
Each individual item that you photographed, correct?
And again, it was photographed because it had a name on it. It was not collected.
But it was photographed,
It
correct?
was photographed, yes, ma'am.
And it was observed, obviously, since it was photographed, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further, thank you.
Briefly, now going back to slide 38, sir, do you see this blue pill bottle in this photograph?
I do.
All right, and are these objects that were taken from inside the red duffel bag that was inside the trunk?
They were.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Anything further?
No, Judge.
Any further questions from the jury? Write down, counsel approach. Is the bat-looking item also called a tire thumper used to check the tire inflation commonly on truck tires?
I have no idea, ma'am.
Anything further?
Not for me, Your Honor.
No, Judge, thank you.
Okay, no further questions from the jury? Thank you, sir, you may step down. At this time, we are very close to the lunch hour. I doubt we'll get very far into any of the next witnesses' testimony before breaking, and so we're just gonna break for lunch right now. So it is, I have a bench meeting starting at 12:30, so we're gonna come back at 1:30, okay? So enjoy your lunch, leave your binders on the chairs, and we'll see you at 1:30. Please wait in the hallway till we bring you in. And don't associate or talk to anybody that's been in the building.
All rise for the jury.
She went to the restroom.
Okay, she should hopefully be back. Sorry about that.
I think you want to swear. You swear that, swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? See? You can swear that microphone out, please. Good afternoon. Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Yes, my name is Sarah Markle, S-A-R-A-H-M-A-R-K-E-L.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, could you tell the jury what you do for a living?
Yes, I am a detective with the Detroit Police Department. I work in our homicide unit, and my job is to do phone extractions.
And how long have you been with the Detroit Police Department?
I've been with Detroit Police for 24 years now, and homicide for the last 7.
And during the last 7 years with homicide, have you been doing phone extractions that whole time?
Yes, I have.
And can you describe for the jury what a phone extraction is?
Yeah, a phone extraction is, in a simple way of explaining it, it's making a copy of everything that is inside of a phone. So I have to have the actual device. This is not something that can be done remotely or away from a computer with the phone. From there, I use special software to connect the phone to the computer, and then it makes, the software that I use makes that copy of the entire contents of each device.
And what is the name of the software that you use?
So I use a couple different programs. One is called Graykey, and one is called Cellbrite.
And do you have any sort of specialized training when it comes to doing an extraction of a cell phone?
I do. I have taken several classes. Cellbrite in particular, I've taken their classes, their certifications through their company. I've also taken some classes with a company called Magnet Forensics, and I've taken classes with some different law enforcement organizations that do training classes for digital forensics.
And during the 7 years that you've been doing phone extractions, approximately how many phone extractions would you say you do annually each year?
I usually average around 1,500 to 2,000 phones per year, and I've been doing this for 7 years.
And once you do a phone extraction, can you describe for the jury what sort of data are you able to get from a cell phone?
Yeah, so the information from the phone is really anything that we do on our phones. So it is the stuff that we would regularly think about, our phone calls, our text messages, pictures, videos. But everything also includes our Google searches, our social media accounts, everything that we do on it. Locations sometimes, anything that we do on our phones is stored on those phones, and then the software makes that copy. So it could be anything that we have access to through our devices.
And when the software that you use makes a copy of a phone's contents, can you describe for the jury what that format is like, what it looks like in general?
Yeah, so there are a couple stages with this. The first stage is the phone extraction, and that is that copy that is being made. So that extraction, or that raw unprocessed file, is put into a file folder or a zip file. That is your raw, unprocessed, not readable file format. From there, I use something called Physical Analyzer. It's a Cellbrite analyzer or parser. That file folder is put into the Physical Analyzer system, where it parses out and processes that unprocessed data. From there, being the Physical Analyzer, Cellbrite puts it into different categories for us. So the program will break it up into like a call section or a message section. So there are a lot of different features in the Physical Analyzer program that are intended to make it more user-friendly and easier to search through. But the categorizing and the processing is done through there. From that point, I generate that report. So I save that processed information from Physical Analyzer. And then I do a couple things with that. The entire report, or that entire processed file, is given to the officer in charge of the case or that person's team that is conducting the investigation. I also put a copy on a disk or a thumb drive, depending on how large each file is, and I put that into our evidence system.
And in order to go into a phone and extract data from it, do you have to have some basis of authority to do that, or can you just, as a police officer, go into anybody's phone?
So I have to have legal authorization. Because I work at homicide, there are three ways. The first one would be if the owner is deceased, and that's the one that is specific to working at homicide. The other two methods are the written consent from the phone's owner or through a search warrant signed by a judge.
And have you ever previously testified as an expert witness in the field of forensic cellular phone extraction?
I have.
And approximately how many times have you so testified?
I've testified as an expert witness 69 times at district, circuit, and federal court levels.
And Your Honor, if there's no objection, I would move to have the witness qualified as an expert in the field of forensic cellular phone extraction.
No objection.
Okay, this witness's testimony will be accepted as an expert in the field of forensic cellular device extraction. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did you play a role into the investigation into the death of Samantha Woll?
I did.
And as part of your role in that investigation, did you forensically extract a number of cell phones?
I did.
Approximately how many phones did you forensically extract for purposes of this case?
I believe it was 16.
And in terms of the usual sort of course of your duties in connection with a homicide case, once you create a report with the contents of a cell phone, do you typically go into the report and analyze that yourself?
Typically, I don't do the analysis by myself. I will assist with the analysis. I will, at the request of anybody involved in the investigation, I will look things up or try to explain different things within the report. But because of the volume that we deal with the phones, and because some cases take, it could take days, it could take weeks, it could take longer. So I'm not specifically following along each step of an investigation either. So I will play a role, but the the amount that I will do with the analysis really varies, more of an assisting or at the request of.
And in terms of some of the primary phone dumps in this case, do you know who was responsible for doing the sort of first round of analysis of those phones?
So it was more of a shared role, I guess it would be fair to say. I did do a lot of the reviewing in the initial stages, but at the same time that I'm looking, members of our investigative team, which at that time was the Homicide Task Force, their members were also reviewing, and there were also additional those data files, those unprocessed data files that I spoke about, were also provided to the FBI for their processing and analysis. So there were multiple people, multiple agencies.
Now, in this case, in preparation for testifying today, were you asked to take a look and actually analyze a number of the phones that you extracted in connection with this case?
I was.
And among those phones, did you conduct a phone extraction on a device associated with an errand pergament?
No.
Which agency was responsible for that device?
I believe that was the FBI that did that particular phone.
Okay. Did you at some point come across the data associated with that phone?
Yes.
And did you have an opportunity to review that data?
Yes.
And in terms of your review of that data, did you see anything alarming or that incriminated errand pergament in the death of Samantha Woll?
I didn't see anything that stood out to me.
Okay. Did you also at some point have an opportunity to extract a cellular device associated with a Jeffrey Herbstman?
I did.
And how many times did you extract that device?
That device was done twice.
And was that at two different points in time?
It was.
And did you have an opportunity to review the contents of that device, the contents of the extraction?
I did.
And did you, in the course of your review, identify anything that appeared to incriminate Jeffrey Herbstman in the death of Samantha Woll?
No.
Did you also have an opportunity to perform an extraction of an iPad associated with Jeffrey Herbstman?
I did.
And the process for extracting an iPad, is that similar to extracting a cellular phone?
Yes, the process on a tablet is the same process as a cell phone.
And did you actually look at the report and analyze the report from the iPad extraction associated with Jeffrey Herbstman?
I did.
And in looking at that report and that data, did you find anything that appeared to incriminate Jeffrey Herbstman in the murder of Samantha Woll?
No.
Did you also have an opportunity to perform an extraction on a device associated with a Robert Becker?
Yes.
And did you personally review the data from that extraction?
I did.
And in terms of your review of that data, did you identify anything that incriminated Robert Becker in the death of Samantha Woll?
No.
Did you also have an opportunity to review a device associated with a David Wilkinson?
Yes.
And did you actually personally review the data associated with that device?
Yes.
And in your review of that data, did you find anything that incriminated David Wilkinson in the death of Samantha Woll?
No.
Now, I am holding what has been admitted as proposed Exhibit 11. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
What is proposed Exhibit 11? What's the evidence label on that exhibit indicate? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I believe I misspoke by referring to that as proposed exhibit. It's already admitted.
Are you asking about the description listed?
Yes, in the evidence tag description.
The description on this tag is a black iPhone, belongs to victim Samantha Woll.
And is that among the phones that you performed a forensic extraction of in this case?
It is.
And when you performed that forensic extraction, at some point did you have an opportunity to review the data that came
I did.
And did you see any sort of problematic or troubling communications between Samantha Woll and anyone else in that phone?
I didn't.
Did you see anything that incriminated any one person in her killing from your review?
No.
In preparation for testifying today, did I send you some a number of proposed exhibits to review?
Yes.
And do a number of those proposed exhibits come from the extraction that you performed on Samantha Woll's phone?
Yes, they do.
And in preparation for testifying, can you explain to the jury the sort of process that you use to verify the authenticity of the proposed exhibits?
Yes. So with our cell phones, because these are very, very voluminous in nature, this isn't something that only produces 2 or 3 pages in a report. These, each phone can be 100,000 pages and up because of all the stuff that we do on our phones these days. So for that reason, it would be impossible to memorize or be able to recite from memory different parts of any phone that I work with. When I am preparing for court, the parties in court, either party in court, if there's something that specific that they would like me to look at and be able to authenticate as accurate from any specific device, I need to get that in advance because I can verify that particular page or that particular section from the report that I put in evidence. So I can review my evidence report, compare it to the proposed exhibit, and then I can testify that it is an accurate copy from this specific device, and so on.
And in terms of all the exhibits or the proposed exhibits that we're going to discuss today with respect to Samantha Woll's phone, did you perform that verification process?
I did.
I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 40. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
What is proposed exhibit 40?
So this is a 2-page document. This is from the phone identified as belonging to Samantha Woll. This is the cover page or identification page for the device. So this is basically the first 2 pages of that phone report. These pages give me the make and model and phone number, Apple ID account if one is included, and that kind of basic device information or identifying information.
And if today, hypothetically, you went back into the overall Celebrate physical analyzer report from the victim's phone dump, would you be able to generate a report that looks substantially like that?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Your Honor, I move to admit proposed exhibit 40.
No objection.
People's 40 is admitted. You may publish.
And I just have a couple of questions just about the basic information reflected here. If we scroll down to the device information, do you see the Apple ID?
Yes.
And what is the Apple ID indicated for this particular device?
That is sam.wall@gmail.com.
And if we go down to this area, the third row from the bottom that says MSISDN, what is that? What does that refer to?
That is the phone number.
And what is the phone number associated with this particular device?
248-330-3009.
And do you see below that where it says IMSI or IMSI? What does IMSI refer to?
It's the International Mobile Subscriber Identifier.
Okay. Are you familiar with a tool in Celebrate to search for what are called device events for a particular device?
Yes, it's not a tool. It is when I process that extraction file, the device events is one of the categories that Cellbrite puts different information into. So I wouldn't call it an actual tool.
And what would be an example of a device event that might get categorized as such?
So it could be power on, power off, plugging in a phone or charging a phone, a factory reset or a wipe of the phone, when a phone is unlocked, when the display or the backlight on your phone comes on, when the camera is in use is one of them. There are a number of different things within the device events.
And I'm holding what's been marked as proposed Exhibit 41. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Is proposed Exhibit 41 a device event report from the victim's phone?
It is.
And is that report limited by its time frame from 12 a.m. on October 21st, 2023 until 8 a.m. that same day?
Yes, 7:54 a.m.
Okay.
Roughly 8 a.m.
And again, if you were to go back into the overall Cellbrite report for the victim's phone and try to look into device events from that specific time period, would you be able to generate a report that looks substantially like that document?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit proposed Exhibit 41.
No objection.
Equals 41 will also be admitted.
And I want to ask you a few questions about this particular report. Just starting with row 1, can you just walk the jury through, for that specific row, what do the columns in that row, in general, sort of indicate?
So that very top line kind of tells us what each column is for. So the first one with the number sign, this is just a column that is placed in there by Cellbrite for a reference number. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, so that it's easier to reference which line. The next column is the time. That's the date and time of the event. The next is where it says event type. What is the event? This first row, display on/off. And then the next one where it says value, this was display on. Additional info, this can be any additional info that Cellbrite parses out and puts into that category. And then the source is where that information is coming from. So this is coming from the Knowledge C database, which is an iPhone internal system database. And then the final column is where it says deleted. If something were to be deleted and then recovered through the extraction process, there would be a yes in that column.
And if we look at row 3 as an example, what kind of information can we glean from row 3 of Exhibit 41?
So on row 3, we're looking at on October 21st, 2023 at 12 o'clock a.m., the device lock status, and then we see unlocked. So the device was unlocked.
And was the victim's device passcode protected in any way?
It was.
And obviously, were you able to bypass that passcode to get the data off the phone?
I was.
Was there any other way to unlock the phone other than entering a passcode from what you're aware of?
No.
Was there any sort of facial recognition on the device?
There was not.
Was there like a thumbprint recognition on the device?
I don't believe there was.
So no biometrics or anything like that?
From what I can remember, there was not. I know that I had to put in an actual 6-digit PIN code.
Okay. And if we scroll down, and I want to go to row 10. can you indicate for the jury, again, what's the sort of information that we can glean from the data in row 10?
So row 10 is on October 21st, 2023 at 12:29 a.m. The phone was unlocked.
And then what's the very next row of data?
On row 11, that's on October 21st, 2023 at 12:30 a.m. Display on. So that's the light on the phone on.
And what's the very next row of data?
Line number 12 is also October 21st, 2023. This is at 12:32 a.m. And you see Wi-Fi state and connect. So the phone is connecting to Wi-Fi.
And if we kind of scroll through the data, are there other periods of time during which the phone was unlocked?
There are.
And would it be fair to say it was unlocked multiple times?
Yes.
And I want to go to, it's going to be row 37 and row 38. What sort of information can we glean from the data in those rows?
So 37 and 38 are rows showing the phone was unlocked. In row 37, that start time on October 21st, 2023 at 1:29 a.m. The device was unlocked. 38 is the same information, same date and time at 1:29 a.m. It was unlocked. On line 37, you see that end time. So the phone was unlocked at 1:29. The end time, which would indicate that it was locked, was at 1:35 a.m. So about 6 minutes.
Okay, and after that, well, let me ask you this. At some point that same day, October 21st of 2023, did you personally handle this particular phone?
Yes.
And when you handled it, did you personally unlock it?
Yes.
Between this period of 1:35 and 40 seconds a.m. And the time that you unlocked it, are you aware of any other time based on the date that the device would have been unlocked?
No, not for an unlock.
And is it fair to say after the 1:35 a.m. mark, there's some other device events reflected in the data?
Yes.
To your knowledge, or in your opinion, would any of these other device events necessarily require the input of a human being to trigger these sort of events?
No, the activity that was preceding that 1:35 was things like notifications, incoming calls or incoming texts. So there's still activity occurring on the phone, even if nobody is actually using it.
And so, hypothetically, could a phone be set up such that if a phone receives a message, the display might light up?
Yes, usually with any phone, if an incoming message or an incoming phone call, or depending on your notification settings, if you receive a notification to your phone, that backlight or that home screen is going to light up, but it's not going to unlock.
And if the home screen or the backlight lights up, would it get reflected as a device event in a report like this one?
It would. It would just be indicated as display is on. So the display lit up from one of those possible options.
And is there anything from the data, in your view, that suggests that the user was using this phone directly after 1:35 a.m.?
I didn't see anything, no.
Are you also familiar with the timeline feature in the Celebrate Physical Analyzer program?
Yes.
And what is the timeline feature?
So the timeline feature is a category within that report, and it helps, I guess it's a different way to look at the information. So like I was saying earlier, you have the different categories. You have your calls, your messages, your device events. Those are each individual tabs or categories within the report. The timeline feature is something that Celebrite generates where it takes all of those categories and it puts all of that information into chronological order. So that's just a different feature or different way of looking at information from within a cell phone, and instead of looking at each individual category, you are able to narrow it down to a time frame, or if you want to look at any activity on a phone, that would be the place where you want to go to look at it in chronological order.
I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 42. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Is proposed exhibit 42 a timeline report from the victim's phone?
It is.
And does that report cover the period of time from roughly 1 a.m. on October 21st, 2023 until approximately 4:29 a.m. that same day?
It does.
And again, if you were to go into the full Celebrate report from the victim's phone and look for timeline data from that specified period of time again, would you get a report that looks substantially like that document that you're holding that's been marked as proposed exhibit 42?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit proposed exhibit 42.
No objection.
Pupils 42 will be admitted, and we publish that as well.
And I just want to ask, again, a handful of questions. So looking at the data in row 5, what type of data is reflected in row 5?
Row 5 is an outgoing text message. It was sent on October 21st, 2023 at 1:02 a.m. It was from this phone, the phone identified as Samantha Woll, and it was sent to a phone number with the contact name saved in the phone as Barney New.
And are you able to, based on the timeline report here, see the actual content of that message?
No, so in the timeline feature, sometimes the information is limited in nature just to one line. To be able to further look at that particular line, you can look in the text message category to see what the body of the text actually was.
And did you have an opportunity to look in the text message category of the overall Celebrate report for the victim's phone to verify what that outgoing message was at 1:02 a.m.?
Yes.
I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 43. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Is proposed exhibit 43 a screenshot of the Celebrate text message feature showing the content of the communication that's depicted in row 5 of exhibit 42?
It is, but this is also in the timeline section. So this is a view through the UFED reader format, where exhibit 42 is a generated PDF from that same section.
And in the screenshot from actually looking at the Celebrate program itself, are you able to see the content or the substance of the instant message?
Yes.
And does that screenshot fairly and accurately depict the sort of data that you would actually see again if you were to pull up that overall Celebrate report and go in and access that same information today?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit proposed exhibit 43.
No objection.
Will be admitted, you may publish that as well.
And can you just indicate where is the substance or the body of this outgoing text message viewable here?
So that's in the column that at the top says description.
And what is the body of that message?
It's a single heart emoji.
And you see there's multiple rows of data here. Are those duplicative of one another?
They are.
Okay. And is that just a sort of a functionality of how the data is processed by Celebrite?
It is.
Now, going back to Exhibit 42, do you see any outgoing communications after that 1:02 a.m. and 43-second mark where the heart emoji was sent from the victim's phone?
No,
Is there any indication of outgoing calls?
there's not.
Is there any indication of outgoing text messages or instant messages?
There's not.
Now, is there other activity that is reflected on this timeline here after that 1:02 a.m. mark?
Yes.
And does some of that activity even extend after that 1:35 a.m. mark that we discussed with respect to the device event log when the phone was last unlocked?
Yes.
And with respect to the activity on the phone after that 1:35 a.m. mark, here on Exhibit 42, do you see any activity that, in your opinion, would necessarily require the input of a human user on this phone?
No. So the activity here that is still running on the phone is, I guess it could be described as maybe background activity, or if an app is open and that app is not closed, that's still going to be running on your phone. You're still going to be getting incoming emails, incoming notifications. So there can still be activity running. There's also system activity running. Your phone is still functioning, but nothing that requires or indicates a direct user input or user manipulation or passcode being put in or anything like that. There's no outgoing user required activity.
Now, as part of your review of the victim's phone, did you come across a particular web page that was bookmarked for a dating-related article?
Yes.
And I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibits 121 and 122. I changed the numbers on these because I didn't realize I'd already used I think it was originally 118 and 119. Your Honor, may I approach with proposed exhibits 121 and 122?
You may.
If you look at page 100, I'm sorry, proposed exhibit 122, is that a report that shows a bookmark for a specific web page?
It is.
And again, if you were to go back into the overall Celebrate report for that web page today, the overall Celebrate report and pull a report showing the bookmark for that web page, would you get a report that looks substantially like Exhibit 121?
Yes.
And what is the name of the web page or the article that was bookmarked?
So the title of this is Why You Need to Date Someone Who Scares You.
And, Your Honor, I would move to admit proposed exhibit 121.
No objection.
That'll be admitted.
And this exhibit, I guess, can you tell the jury what sort of data we're looking at here on exhibit 121?
So what we're seeing is that where it says title, that is the title of the actual article. The next line where it says URL, that is the URL to the web search or to that specific page. You see the HTTP colon backslash and the rest of the URL path.
And did you have an opportunity to go online and visit that specific URL?
Yes, I did. So I can copy and paste that exact URL, put it into Google, and see the exact article or web page, or whatever it is that this phone was looking at, or in this case had bookmarked.
And in terms of proposed exhibit 122 that you're also holding, is that a printout of the web page associated with that specific URL that is depicted on exhibit 121?
It is.
So if you were to go to that web page again today, would you see the exact same content that is in your hands marked as proposed exhibit 122?
Yes.
I move to admit proposed exhibit 122, Your Honor.
No objection.
It'll be admitted, you may publish.
Now, is this you had an opportunity to review this article, is that correct?
I did.
Is this an article about dating someone who's actually scary?
No.
What's the article about?
This article is, I referred to it as a feel-good article. This is talking about.
And I object if she's giving her personal opinion on how she would categorize the contents of this particular article. It's an exhibit, I guess it speaks for what it is, but for her to give her own opinion or summary of what she believes the author's intent was behind it, I believe that goes beyond the scope of her expertise.
Can you point out the article and the jury can read it for themselves?
Yeah, let's just read it.
Well, you're not gonna read that whole thing out loud in this courtroom, are you?
Let me just
print it and admit that as an exhibit?
No, it's admitted, Your Honor, but I guess since the defense made the claims about this article they made before, I don't want to leave the jury with the wrong impression. Can you go to can you see this paragraph that's depicted on the screen right here?
Yes.
And Judge, I would object again. For one, there were no claims made about this particular article. There was a question proposed to a witness whether he knew about a bookmark of this article. And secondly, there's a scroll down. This is not even the entire article that's being read for the record as of right now. It was scrolled down to a particular point. So, Your Honor, I would just object again and ask if this is an admitted exhibit, then the jury would have an opportunity to read the article for themselves in its entirety, not certain excerpts that the prosecution will want to read from it.
And, Your Honor, there was a very specific insinuation when the defense asked the questions that they asked about this article. And so it sounds like they not only don't want me to read the article that has now been admitted as an exhibit in its entirety, but now we can't even read an excerpt that shows that the insinuations that were made were false. I mean, that doesn't make sense. I'm asking her to read this paragraph right here.
The whole thing is admitted, right? And you
Correct,
have a
Your Honor.
copy- You have a copy of it?
It's printed out. The jury will have it. I just want to make one point with
You
this
can point
paragraph.
out an excerpt. He pointed out the title. You can point out an excerpt.
Detective Markle, the paragraph that's displayed here, can you just read that for the record?
The one that starts with don't
Yes.
is the paragraph, correct? Don't date someone who scares you because they are controlling, angry, violent, or abusive in any way. That's the bad kind of fear, and it's an unhealthy relationship to engage in. But date someone who scares you because they encourage you to face all of the things you've tried to suppress for so long. Date someone who lovingly pushes you to become more who you are at your core as a person. Date someone who nudges you outside of your comfort zone regularly and helps you level up in life.
Okay. I'm also holding what's been marked as, or admitted as Exhibit 39. May I approach, Your Honor? And I'll take those back.
Should I keep them?
Can you indicate what the evidence description is of that particular item?
Yes, the description is a red Apple iPhone in a black case belonging to Michael Jackson.
And did you have an opportunity to perform a forensic extraction of that specific device?
I did.
And the process that you have described before in general and with respect to the victim's phone, did you follow that process with respect to the defendant's phone?
Yes, that's the same process on every phone that I do any work on.
Okay, and so as part of that process, did you get a lengthy sort of overall report of the data from Celebrate for that phone?
Yes.
And did I ask you in preparation for testifying to take a look at a handful of proposed exhibits from that overall extraction?
Yes.
And did you independently verify that those proposed exhibits in fact come from the device extraction associated with the defendant's phone?
Yes, I did.
I want to start with what's been marked as proposed exhibit 44. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
What is proposed exhibit 44?
This is those first 2 pages of the extraction report, and this gives me that make, model, phone number, that general device information.
Okay, and again, if you were to go back into the overall extraction from the defendant's phone today and just get that basic device information again, would you get a document that looks substantially like the document that you're holding in your hand?
Yes.
I move to admit proposed exhibit 44.
No objection.
Even 44 is admitted.
And may I publish, Your Honor?
You may.
Okay, and again, just a couple of questions about this particular device. Do you see an Apple ID associated with that device?
Yes.
And what is the Apple ID associated with the device?
Mick Jack, and that is MICJACK, the number 5 at iCloud.com.
Okay, and do you see below that the ISDN number or the phone number for the device?
Yes.
And what is the phone number associated with the device?
248-906-5529.
Okay, and I want to show you what has already been admitted as Exhibit 84, which for the record has been redacted pursuant to the sidebar discussion before lunch. And in particular, I want to go to page 43 of Exhibit 84. Do you see an email address located on that document?
Yes.
And is that under the name Michael Jackson-Bolanos?
Yes, the top line lists the name, and then in that same section, the email is the same email.
The same one from the phone?
The same one that I just read.
Okay, and do you see a cell phone number listed on that document?
Yes.
And is that the same cell phone number on the device that you extracted in connection with the defendant's phone?
Yes.
And just briefly for the record, you see where it says IMSI?
Yes.
What is the IMSI number associated with this device?
310-260-00699-10170.
And have you also been asked to look into the timeline from the defendant's device for a specific period of time on October 21st of 2023?
Yes.
I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 45. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Is proposed exhibit 45 a timeline report from the defendant's device that's limited to the period of time from roughly 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. on October 21st of 2023?
It is.
And again, if you were to go back into the overall Celebrate report for the defendant's device today and pull a timeline report from that same time period, would you get a document or a report that looks substantially like the one that you're holding in your hand marked as proposed exhibit 45?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move to admit proposed exhibit 45.
No objection.
People's 45 is admitted, you may publish that as well.
I just want to walk through a handful of the items here. Now, among the data in this timeline, are there some instant messages or text messages that were retrieved?
There are.
Okay, and I want to direct your attention to row 17. Is that an incoming or outgoing text message?
Row 17 is an incoming.
And is that, I guess, an instant message or a text message?
They're the same thing. Instant message, text message. They're text messages. Incoming text message on this row.
Okay, and who would be, since it's incoming, would that be incoming to the device that you extracted?
Yes.
And where did that message, what contact did that message originate from?
So that was from a contact of 734.
And without reading the whole number, what's the contact name?
Tierra Sweet Tea.
And what's the body of that particular message?
The body reads, "You okay, babe?"
Okay, and is there a what appears to be a response below in row 19?
Yes,
Is that an outgoing message?
it is.
And is that sent slightly after that first message we discussed?
Yes, about 22 seconds later.
Okay, and what's the body of that message?
The message reads, "Yeah."
And what's the next outgoing message sent?
This is on line 21. It's an outgoing, or you can also see it. So on line number 22 is a duplicate that contains the information of where the text is going, or the receiver. And this is a video message.
Okay, and so does that mean just that a video was attached to the message?
Yes, a video was sent to the number for Tierra Sweet Tea.
Okay, and was this video sent from the defendant's phone or received by the defendant's phone?
This was sent from the defendant's phone to the Tierra contact.
And what was the time that video was sent?
It is on October 21st, 2023 at 3:14 a.m.
And are you familiar with something called metadata when it comes to files like video files?
Yes.
And what is metadata?
The metadata is information that is embedded within that actual video file. So that information, if it's available, will contain the original date and time that the video was captured, the latitude, longitude sometimes, the phone make and model sometimes, the whatever metadata is available. Those are some examples of what it could contain.
Okay, and I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 47. May I approach your honor? Is proposed exhibit 47 a report that shows the metadata associated with that specific video that was sent at 3:14 a.m.?
Yes, it does.
And does that metadata tell us when that video was actually taken?
It does.
And what was that time?
So that the video was captured on October 21st, 2023 at 2:16 a.m.
Okay, and again, if you were to go into the overall Celebrate program today and pull a similar report trying to get the metadata for that specific video, would you get a report that looks substantially like the document that you're holding that's marked as proposed exhibit 47?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit proposed exhibit 47.
No objection.
People's 47 is admitted.
Okay, and just looking at exhibit 47, is there a name associated with this video file?
Yeah, so the path or the image number, and you see IMG _ 9910.mov. That's a phone generated item number, but that is the assigned name for that video.
Okay, and again, what was the time indicated for when this video was created?
At 2:16 a.m.,
And was there any location data associated with this video?
not attached to this line in the video section.
Okay, and I want to go back to, did you have an opportunity to actually view that specific video in the Celebrate program?
I did.
And I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 48. Is it your understanding that that video directly from Celebrate is contained on this disc that's marked as proposed exhibit 48?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit proposed exhibit 48.
No objection.
No objection?
No objection. Yeah, no
I
objection.
couldn't hear you at all. It'll be admitted.
And just playing exhibit 48, again, what's the file name reflected here on exhibit 48?
IMG_9910.MOB.
And so that's just a brief video, that's the entirety of the video that we just saw?
Yes, that is.
Okay. Going back to exhibit 45, after that video was sent at 3:14 a.m., do you see whether there is a response from the Tierra contact?
Yes, there is.
And what time was the response sent?
Response was sent at 3:16 a.m.
And what was the body of the response?
It reads, "Not the Coast Guard."
And is there a follow-up message that was sent by the Tierra contact after that?
There is.
And what time was that sent?
That was at 3:34 a.m.
Do you see row 26, though, before that?
Oh, yes. 26 was another incoming message from the contact Tierra.
And what was the body of that message?
That message reads, "Texas 2."
Okay. If we scroll down a little bit, in row 32, do we start to see some messages with another contact?
Yes.
And what time do those messages start at?
This message is at 4:07 a.m.
And what's the body of that first message received from that other contact?
"I miss you, 3 dots, so much, Poppy,"
And what time was that message sent?
at 4:07 a.m.
And if you go to row 35, is there another message from that same contact?
Yes.
And what is that contact's name in the phone?
Doc Wash.
And what's the body of that incoming message in row 35?
That message reads, "You don't feel the same."
And what's the next message sent after that, reflected in row 37?
That's another incoming message from Doc Wash. The message reads, "I understand if you don't. I just had to get that off my chest."
And if we go down to row 39, what is the next message sent from the Doc Walsh contact?
Do you want me to read just the body or the time, or?
Yeah, the time and the body.
Okay, the time on, if we're looking at row 39, the time is 4:13 a.m. and the message reads, "Good night then."
Okay, now between the time that Doc Walsh first reached out at 4:07 a.m., between then and 4:20 a.m., is there any outgoing response to this Doc Walsh contact?
There's an outgoing at 4:08.
At 4:08, and I see. Row 34.
Yes.
And what's the body of that say?
That message reads, "Hey, Lise." It's Lyse.
And between 4:08 a.m. and 4:20 a.m., is there any further outgoing contact from this device reflected here?
There's not.
When is the next outgoing communication reflected if you look at row 41?
So on row 41, that is an outgoing. That is at 4:25 a.m.
And what's
And
the body of that message read?
the message reads, "I do, Ma, I'm busy."
Okay. And is it fair to say there's some communications that continue after that point between these two contacts?
Yes.
All right. Did you also have an opportunity to look at the internet search history to the extent that sort of data was recoverable from this phone?
Yes.
And I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 46. May I approach, Your Honor? Is proposed exhibit 46 a report of the internet search history from this phone?
Yes, there are 90 items on 9 pages.
And is that the entirety of the internet search history you were able to recover based on the extraction that you did in this case?
I believe it was.
Okay, and again, if you were to go back into the overall report that you created from the defendant's phone today and pull a report of the internet search history, would you get a document that looks substantially like that one that's marked as proposed exhibit 46?
Yes.
I move to admit proposed exhibit 46.
No objection.
Equals 46 is admitted.
I want to scroll down to row 61 on page 7.
Yes.
Does that row of data 61 reflect a particular internet search?
Yes, it's a Safari search.
And what is the date and time associated with that search?
That is November 12th, 2023 at 4:19 p.m.
And what is the phrase that was searched at that date and time?
The search was Detroit same-day passport.
Now, are you familiar with when Jeffrey Herbstman was held in custody by the Detroit Police Department?
Yes.
And based on your role in the investigation, do you know the dates that he was held in custody?
Yes, the November 7th, and I believe he was released on the 10th.
And at around the time that Mr. Herbstman was held in custody and ultimately released, are you aware of whether the fact that a suspect was in custody and then released was publicly reported by the media?
It was.
And do you know the date of the first public reports that the suspect was released, as far as you know?
I thought it was on the following day, so he was, I believe, on the 10th.
I believe the objection to she's speculating. It doesn't sound like she really knows. She's guessing.
Only if you know.
If you looked at a Detroit News article, would that help refresh your recollection?
Objection, Your Honor. I mean,
It's not being admitted as an exhibit.
Right, to
refresh
refresh-
your recollection with anything.
well, she never stated that she read it out the Detroit News, so he can show her an article with the date on there, and she says, yes, that's the date I heard, or that's the date that was reported. So she's not going on her own personal knowledge of what she remembers.
Anything can be used to refresh your recollection, counsel. Objection overruled. It's not being admitted as an exhibit. Don't show it to the jury, please.
Obviously, without divulging the contents of that article, once you've had an opportunity to review it, let me know if that has refreshed your recollection as to the date of media reports surrounding the release of a suspect in this case.
Yes,
And what was the date?
that was November 11th, 2023.
Okay, and this search for Detroit same-day passport on the defendant's phone was what date?
November 12th, 2023.
Have you also been asked about a particular application on the defendant's phone known as a police scanner application?
Yes.
And I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 49. May I approach? What does a proposed exhibit 49 show?
This is from the installed applications section in the Celebrate report, and this shows the date and time. Do you want me to read the date and time? Or?
Is that report specific to a particular application?
Yes, it's the installation of an application for a scanner radio.
Okay, and if you were again to go back in the overall Celebrate report for the defendant's phone and pull a report showing when that particular application was downloaded, the date and time, would you get a report that looks substantially similar to the one that you're holding in your hand?
Yes.
I would move to admit proposed exhibit 49.
No objection.
It'll be admitted.
Just looking at exhibit 49, again, what is the name of this particular application that the report addresses?
So the name is Scanner Radio Deluxe.
And what is is there a purchase date associated with that particular application?
Yes.
And what is the purchase date associated with that application?
November 3rd, 2023 at 11:57 p.m.
Now, are you familiar with the Apple App Store?
Yes.
And did you have an opportunity to go to the App Store to search for this particular application that's reflected on Exhibit 49?
Yes.
I'm holding what's been marked as proposed Exhibit 51. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Is proposed Exhibit 51, does that contain screenshots from the App Store if you were to go to the App Store and look at this specific application?
Yes.
And does that tell and show, does that purport to show how the app is marketed?
Yes. How it looks, how it's marketed, the information directly from the actual App Store.
And again, if you were to go to that App Store and take screenshots again today, would that be sort of substantially same to that document that you're holding that's marked as proposed exhibit 51 as far as you know?
Yes, it would be the same. They could change a color or part of the description, but it would be very similar, if not exactly the same.
Okay, but does that document fairly and accurately depict what you saw when you went to the actual App Store for that specific app?
Yes.
I move to admit proposed exhibit 51, Your Honor.
The only objection I would have is when, in fact, she went to the App Store to view this particular app, because she stated herself that the app could change, and it seems like this app, and which listed in the name on the Cellbrite report, have different names.
I've viewed this app several times over the past few months, as recently as within the last few weeks preparing for trial.
And I guess how close to this purported download date did she actually review this particular app at the store versus the most recent?
When did you first look at it?
I'm not sure. It would have been around the time that I initially extracted the phone, but the exact date I don't know. I know that I've looked at it since then in preparation for court. It had not changed, but I say that it could change because developers of apps could change the way it looks on any given day, and I don't know if or when the different appearance would be implemented.
And Your Honor, I object just on the matter that we don't know if it's the same app. It has a different name, and we know frequently in app stores, an app could go out, it
Let
can
me
be
look at the
defunct.
documents. Council approach. You know what, let's send the jury on a 10-minute break, or 10 minutes. We'll come back. We gotta finish looking at